So now we've done our application process and we've used the proper legal channels and we are, listen, not really secured the loan as yet. Well, I'm with that part now. So we're doing our application and we've actually find the place that we want to buy. Our, yeah, we find the place that we want to buy. Is it that we're going to wait? No, that we've sent off the application. We're just going to wait for the 90 days until everything is processed, or is there anything that we need to do in that time?
Well, once all the documents are in order and you move to loan approval and your loan is approved, then we move to the heavy legal part, which is the transferring from the previous owner to the new owner. And that is where the time really comes in. Because the NHT really has same day loan approval, meaning if you come in today with all your documents, and
Yeah.
if I give you this list of documents and you come in with all of them, and all of them are in order, and you and I have that discussion as a loan officer, and we're good, you know what you're getting into, everything is in order, as I said, then I can stamp that on that same day and your loan is approved that day.
Okay.
Thereafter now is where the wait period comes in, where it is having the property transferred from the previous owner to you, ensuring that the government collects its taxes on it,
Mm-hmm.
on the transaction, um, having the new title done up, all of that work is really where all of that is where the extra days are needed, really. And it may sound like but why take so long, you know? But I cannot stress it enough. It's one of the most important decisions an individual will make in their life. And a simple thing, your name spelled incorrectly,
Uh,
one letter leave off your name changes the game totally. So it's not a simple thing as run down this and pay this and move the paper over here. And no, man, it's so the government there, man. It's a lot of red tape and inefficiency. And
system again.
no, the system here is not the system.
Yeah.
Well, it is a system, but it's a system working to protect you at the end
Yeah.
of the day to ensure that, when the transaction is completed, it's completed properly. And you don't get your keys and in your house and you see somebody come and knock on your door and say, yo, you're on my property, you need to move off. And you say, no, but me buy this. And then you see a man pull out a title and say, yeah, but me have the title for it. These things happen, which
Yeah.
is these things happen. People think they're making good decisions. Yeah, man, me see a man him cut up the piece of land over there saying a man and him say, give me a 500,000 and then give me my part and him will go and deal with the paperwork. Really?
Whoa.
No.
Nothing like that.
And you'll be surprised how often that happens. Or person selling a property and then you reach to the National Land Agency and we go to the registration and we do the title search and you realize that I know your property and you don't have no permission or no
Nothing.
rights to selling this property. So
Whoa.
really the 90 to 120 days is to do all of that and to make sure that the mortgage is protected at the end of the day. So
Okay.
once we get through that registration and all of that process, then it's good to go after that.
So basically, we don't have to make a lot of trips to the NHT then if we just bring or gather, I just say research in advance and bring all the proper paperwork so that we can just drop off everything, do our loan interview. I'm suggesting we have to do a loan interview because the same with doing like a car loan or something like that, you have to do a loan interview. So
Correct.
just bring everything and make sure the process goes as smooth as possible, and then we just wait out for if any call like, oh, Mr. Fairman, how you spell? Make sure your name spelled like this again. We're just clarifying that this is your address, this is whatever, just to make sure that information is correct.
All right. And I mean, if you do most, you the mortgage or the most of the legwork up front. So when you hand over to NHT or whichever mortgage institution and you get approved. Now it's on and off to the other agencies to do their part. Not even NHT has much too, it's other agencies of government too. And that's the rough part because you're now your work done.
Yeah.
You're just sitting and waiting and you got Lord, you just wait. So yeah.
And if they remember me.
Yeah, go on wait. Go on look for a couple of items of furniture and see where you're gonna buy and go on envision yourself in the house and go on prepare and
All right.
let the other agencies deal with that aspect of it.
So our 90 to 120 days pass, and hopefully we get the call, or we will get the call and say you can pick up your keys, or you can move to your new property, or how is that message usually relayed?
If to think about it personally, it was my lawyer who said, "Barbie, you can go pick up your keys."
Just like that.
Just like that. Just like that. It was that. And even then, my lawyer was like, pick up the keys, go for the property, walk through, look, make sure everything is in order, make sure, yeah, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If it's an NHT, then the NHT, the branch office will call you and we'll have that inspection with you where we walk through the property with you, make sure that you're comfortable with what you're getting. Construction process is a construction process. There may be minor defects that need to be fixed, and generally if there's a defects liability period of 6 months where the developer has to make any kind of corrections to the property where some things are not fully up to scratch. So you have that period of the process as well. But really and truly, once you pass loan approval, it's just a waiting thing thereafter. It's just a waiting thing thereafter. And so just be patient with the process.
Just be patient. Cool. So we've gone over buying the house through NHT, and that's basically the process. But what if I already have land? Because most people from the country, I don't really like use that term because I am from the country. I'm from St. Elizabeth. But most people from the lush green parishes, we generally will inherit land or will purchase land. How do we acquire a loan from the NHT to build? Is it along the same processes as buying?
Slightly different. The NHT has this build on own land loans for those scenarios where the individual has land or has access to land. So the land doesn't have to be in your name. Once the land is properly registered, there's a title for it, and the title holder can say, hey, I'm giving Mr. Fairman permission to build on this land, and I'm making the title available for the NHT to register its interest on it. Then that's good to go as well. For the construction related part of it, it's a little different in terms of the documents that you're required to submit. One of the key documents you have to get is that building plan, and that building plan has to be approved by your municipal corporation. You have to ensure that what you intend to build on that land, the parish council is okay with it, and that the piece of land is actually fit for construction. So it's a little bit more technical from that standpoint. But once the building plan has been approved, then generally that's a major difference. Major difference. Some other documentation, you may be required to submit. But the major one being that approve the building plan from your parish council. Because we don't want you to start construction and then you serve a notice to say, hey, you can't be building here. You have no permission to build here.
You can't build.
Yeah, this area is not zoned for residential, and this land, the title says, has a caveat against you doing, specific uses for this land, and residential construction isn't such one. So we have to clear those hurdles. And once we do, we're generally okay. With construction, it's a more involved process, meaning that you now have to hire particular services. You have to get a contractor, you have to get the different services along the way. And because of that, for that reason, the NHT assigns what we call who we call a project officer to
Okay.
every person who is doing the construction. No, your project officer is not your contractor,
Mm-hmm.
but your project officer is your quality control person. So your 6.5, the NHT won't disburse all 6.5 in one go. Because some people say 6.5 million, oh, but the house not gonna cost 6.5. Remember, buy a car and put it on the road and buy a taxi and make back some more money after it. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, people will misuse the funds, and at the end of the day, you find that 6.5 million done and you don't have a house.
You don't have
So
a whole.
your project officer monitors it. So you might get a first 2 million that is supposed to be foundation and bring you up to what they call black height.
Yeah, yeah.
My forte really, but yeah. And then your project officer comes and checks off and says, okay, Mr. Fairman, the 2 million was supposed to be XYZ. Okay, I see where XYZ is done. All right, I'm going to approve for a disbursement of another 3 million for you to do this aspect of it. So we disburse the monies for construction in tranches to ensure that, you know, if something is going wrong, we put a stop to it before the whole of the money going out.
So it's like I don't want to, because basically it's an investment on your part too, because it's a loan. You don't want your money go down the drain. Now foolishness.
Exactly.
So you need
Exactly.
to make
So
sure that it's doing what it is supposed to be doing.
right. And you'd be surprised, people take the money and do other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but your project officer will work with you. And if something goes wrong, your project officer is there to guide you as well as to, what are the steps you can take to have that corrected and so on and so forth. So that's the major difference. It works out generally cheaper to build than to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And I like building because I build what I want, how I want, when I want it, where I want it. I'm more in control of the process.
Yes.
But a lot of persons shy away from it because it means you have to be a little bit more involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just sign two papers, pay over some
A
money, and
movie.
you get a call to come and pick up your keys. You have to be more vigilant. So a lot of persons tend to shy away from it. But it's something I personally recommend, especially with the price of real estate in Jamaica. It goes in a particular direction, up,
Of
up.
even if it
So
says down is relative to what it was
I'm
previously.
I'm yet to see that. It's just going up. Real estate is one of the best investments an individual can make. You can't lose with it.
Mm-hmm.
But buying, because of different reasons, buying has become a little bit more challenging for persons. Construction costs are going up. Cost of living generally is going up, and you know what is not going up? Salaries.
Yeah,
So
man.
persons are finding it
That's
a little bit more
hard.
difficult to buy. So if you can build, I say build. It's a better bang for your buck. But you have to be prepared to get your hands dirty,
To get your
literally.
hands dirty. Well,
Yeah.
it might be a good process for me since I'm on the YouTube part, can have regular content for building a house.
There you go. You can document every aspect of the process. Yes.
Yeah, well, it is something that I'm looking into. So I'm glad that this not only helps me, but it also helps my subscribers because it's something that we are going to think about now. It's where I'm going to put my family. If I'm supposed to get married, where we're going to move to, where do I want to plant my roots? It's like, what am I going to invest in? Because that's my thing right now. I'm thinking about investment properties, and it is just something that it's good to get the knowledge on so that I can know how to make that investment.
And,
And
and, and great, great. And I mean, I think that's where we are and where we all need to be because As I said, buying has its own challenges. So we now have to think creatively. How do I still become a homeowner? And there are different considerations that individuals have to make. Perhaps I've always considered that I want to live in Kingston and St. Andrew in the capital. Come on. I think you should know by now that living in the capital comes with a different price tag.
Yeah,
So
man.
you probably want to look a little bit outside of Kingston, and you find that you move, the farther you move out of Kingston, the cheaper real estate becomes.
Hmm.
And that's not Jamaica, that's the world.
That's the world. Yep.
If you live in Manhattan,
You pay Manhattan rent.
you pay Manhattan.
You're paying Manhattan rent. You're paying for the tourism. You're paying for the sites. You're paying for the hype life. You're paying for the convenience. It is.
You're
You
paying
have to
for
take
that.
everything into consideration.
Right. But if it's not, if I realize, having done my affordability check, that, Kingston and St. Andrew can never happen. I don't sit down every day and lament and go, nobody now help me, and look what we did one the house over there. So no, you go to what's the next best thing I can do? I look at St. Catherine and stuff. And I mean, COVID has been a kind of blessing for in a weird way, which I have a coworker who says COVID has proved that people can work remotely.
Yes.
So for all the concerns that people had before, I think the business community has realized that, hey, I don't necessarily need to see you 8 hours a day. People can work remotely. And it's one of those features of COVID I hope will remain, to give persons a little bit more flexibility in terms of
Mhm.
what they can pursue as housing options too. That I'm a man of a man. And I always say I feel stuck in Kingston. I came to university in
And
Kingston
then
and
you
I'm
just
stuck.
stop.
I'd love to go to Mandeville.
Yes.
I'd love to maintain it, the job prospects and the job opportunities that my qualifications afford me.
Mhm.
But I would also want to live in cool Mandeville. And if it means I come into Kingston 1 day a week or 2 days a week,
Exactly.
that's fine. So that kind of flexibility that I'm seeing now where working arrangements are concerned, I hope it spills over into housing. So persons don't feel like I have to be in the capital anymore. And it's a similar thing for Mandeville too, that everybody don't necessarily feel that we need to live on Patrick Road or New Green Road or those nice places in Mandeville with the multi-story houses,
Yeah,
but I
man.
can I can move out of Mandeville town proper and I can get, housing opportunities in other parts of the parish
They say no more
that that
English side.
that comes, yeah. That I can seek housing opportunities where my financing arrangements can afford me to live without compromising on my earning abilities.
Exactly.
I really do hope that that's something we're able to capitalize on more, not just now, but even in a post-COVID era.
All right. So yeah, man. I like this discussion. It answered basically all my questions that I needed so far, and that the subscribers will be needed so far on NHT. And just maybe one thing to close off, like how accepting is NHT of investors when it comes to the property?
Um, I'll ask you to clarify what exactly you mean.
So investor would be, I want to buy the property to rent or to
Mhm,
Airbnb, because I see that property, that I see the housings that you guys are offering in Westmoreland. I think it's White
mhm.
House, and those look like some good Airbnb potential. Because so, as it pertains to investors, do we stand a chance?
All right, let's look at it this way. The NHT set up to solve Jamaica's housing challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So an individual who comes to the NHT, for the most part, comes to the NHT to fix a personal housing challenge to put a roof over my head, right?
Yeah.
My head. I do want to stop paying
You
rent.
want this? Okay.
I want this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the NHT, first and foremost, in its structure, how it is set up and all of that, looks out for that individual first.
Mm-hmm.
However, if Dwayne, having bought the property, realizes for whatever reason that, okay, my circumstances since having bought this property has changed, meaning I now want to go pursue job opportunities in another parish. Um, I
Maybe a
have lost my
promotion.
job, perhaps, and I can no longer pay this mortgage, and I need to rent out half of this house or something. That's always a conversation that the NHT will engage with the mortgage in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I leave it
And you leave it there.
there.
Perfectly said. I
I
get my
leave it
answers.
there.
I got my answers. I hope anybody can pick out the answers out of that also. And one more question pop in my head.
Mhm.
As you say, when you're talking about real estate, it can always go on and on and on. But one more question pop into my head. If I bought an NHT property and I want to extend upon that property, what is the time span do I have to wait to apply for addition loan to build on that house, or what is the time span for me to actually build on if I want to build on it?
I think it's more about affordability than time,
Mm-hmm.
because for many for many persons as well, what they won't be able to buy dream homes. And I personally say dream homes aren't bought, they're built over time.
Mm-hmm.
You graduate to dream home. So your
Yeah.
first home is not necessarily going to be an ideal home. It's probably a starter that you need to sell back and buy something bigger,
Buy some.
or you're going to add to it. So as the individual circumstances change, for many persons, I mean, for some persons, it may mean I'm just buying a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. For no, I'm buying the studio. No, I'm buying the 1 bedroom. No,
Mm-hmm.
but as my circumstances change and as my affordability change, and I can, you know, upsize that, then you can go ahead and do that. So for us, more so, it is a matter of, do you have the financing to afford that, rather than, okay, you can't do it too quick.
But do you guys offer loans though that can facilitate that?
Definitely we do. We built Estuary Phase 1 in St. James. There are 1 bedroom units, 1 bathroom, living kitchen, and they're sold for 4.7 million. So the individual who would say qualify for 6.5 would not have used up their entire benefit. So
Mm-hmm.
that individual can come back when they're ready and access the additional monies to expand on that. Similarly, if two people co-apply and buy something, they may not use up the entire 13 million. So whenever they're ready, they can come back and get the additional amounts to expand. Otherwise, the NHT gives two loans. The first one, whenever you access that one, the second one becomes available. 10 years in the case of public sector workers, or 15 years for regular persons after the first. So an individual can always get that second loan to make expansion to the first property. Or if you're going to sell that first property and buy a new one, you can add the additional second loan that the NHT will
Mm-hmm.
give you to the proceeds from that sale as well, and buy a new property.
Okay, cool. So that's it. We got our answers. This interview or this discussion was very knowledgeable. And if we want to be one of those persons on the application list, where can we go to see when applications are open?
I'm happy to say we have a presence almost everywhere. We put it on the radio, we put it on TV, we put it in the newspaper, our
Mhm.
social media pages there, and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You'll see, the walkthrough videos for those units, and we'll tell you when they're available. So just follow us on our socials, pay attention to the press. And I mean, we have a branch office in every parish. Don't be afraid to check, every now and again with your branch office and say, hey, anything coming soon, or I see that development happening about when it will be ready. So make those periodic checks with us, and you can always know when to apply.
Or for just quick, quick with it.
And be prepared. Be
All right.
prepared mostly.
All right, Mr. Dwayne. It was a pleasure having you on the channel, and I hope this is received well among the community of young professionals and also people who are just interested in acquiring their first home. So this has been Demetress Fairman. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this message gets to you if you are in the process of trying to acquire a house through NHT or without NHT, just acquiring a house overall. Thank you for watching, and happy investing.